So picture this. Your company spends a ton of money on some amazing cutting-edge AI tool. On paper, it's perfect. But then, weeks turn into months, and you realize nobody's using it. It's just sitting there. Turns out the biggest challenge with AI is almost never the technology. It's the people. So today, let's get into the playbook on how to make sure your AI actually gets used.
And really, this is what it all boils down to. Just read this quote. Even the most technically sound AI solution can fail if users don't adopt it. I mean, that one sentence says it all, doesn't it? It explains why so many incredibly expensive AI projects just fizzle out. So what's the fix?
Well, here's our game plan. We're going to break this whole thing down. First, we'll talk about the adoption challenge itself. Then, we'll walk through a really clear 5-step process, mapping the new reality, getting ahead of the resistance, making it fit into how people already work, empowering your users, and finally, tracking your progress to make sure it sticks. It's the whole roadmap.
Okay, first up, understanding the real challenge. And the main thing to get here is that success is not just about having cool technology. Not at all. It's about managing the huge cultural and workflow changes that AI brings. If you ignore that human side of the equation, you are just setting yourself up to fail.
You know, a good way to think about it is like this. Bringing in a new AI tool is like building a brand new bridge for your company's workflow. It's a huge infrastructure project, and you wouldn't just show up with a bunch of steel and start welding, right? No, you need a blueprint, and that blueprint is exactly what we're going to build.
All right, so let's get to the first step in our playbook, mapping the new reality. Sticking with our bridge analogy, what's the absolute first thing you do? You survey the land. This is all about getting your organization ready for what's coming and really understanding the terrain before you even think about breaking ground. And this prep work has a few key parts. You've got to figure out if your teams are even ready for this. You need to know exactly which policies or jobs are going to change. You have to make sure your leadership is actually bought in, and you need to see what new skills people are going to need. Then you wrap all of that up into one solid plan. Now, what's really important here is that this is all proactive. You're not just waiting around for problems to pop up. You're checking readiness everywhere. You're planning for the training people will need, and, this is huge, you're building in responsible AI principles from day one. And why does that matter? Because that's how you build trust. And trust is the absolute foundation of all of this.
All right, on to step 2, anticipate the resistance. So you surveyed the land for your bridge. Now comes the really human part. You have to go talk to the locals, your employees. You need to hear their concerns and help them see that this new bridge is actually a good thing, that it's safe and won't make their lives harder.
And look, their concerns are totally predictable. People are going to worry about their jobs, of course. They're going to be suspicious of a machine making important decisions. They might find the new tool confusing or worry about hidden biases. Sometimes it's just that people don't like change. The point is, none of this should catch you by surprise. You can and you absolutely should plan for it.
But here's a really crucial distinction we have to make. Not all resistance is bad. In fact, some of it is incredibly valuable. There's healthy skepticism, and then there's harmful sabotage. The person who keeps asking why and how does this actually work? Well, that person might be your biggest ally. They're the ones who spot the flaws before they become catastrophes. You need to listen to them.
Okay, that brings us to step 3, make it fit seamlessly. So, your bridge is designed, and you've got the people on board. Now you have to actually connect it to the existing roads. Because if the on-ramps and off-ramps don't line up, all you've done is create a recipe for a massive traffic jam. A bridge to nowhere helps nobody.
And that's the whole secret right there. The best AI tools don't feel like some clunky, separate thing you have to deal with. They feel like a natural part of how you already do your job, just a bit smarter and a whole lot faster. The goal is always enhancement, not disruption.
Now, this does mean you've got to get into the technical nitty-gritty. You have to map out workflows from start to finish. You have to check if the AI can even talk to your current databases and systems. And you absolutely have to work with your IT, data, and security teams. This is where the blueprint meets reality. And please, do not skip this next part. It is a big one. You need a safety net. A fallback mechanism is just your plan B for when the AI messes up, because it will, or if it just goes offline. What do people do then? Having a clear answer to that is non-negotiable. It's how you tell your users, hey, we've got your back. Which brings us right to step 4, empower your users. Okay, so the bridge is built, it's connected, now it's time to open it up for traffic. But you can't just do that. You have to put up the road signs, explain the new rules, and make sure everybody feels confident and safe driving across it.
So this idea of empowerment really comes down to a mix of good training and good communication. We're talking about training that's specific to what people actually do, demos where they can get their hands on the tool, and clear messages about why this is happening. And, getting a few key people to be champions for the change, that can make all the difference.
Yeah, training and communication are really two sides of the same coin. Training gives people the how to use the tool, how to understand what it's telling them, but communication gives them the why this is important, what we're trying to achieve, and crucially, being honest about what the tool can't do. You need both to build real confidence.
And that brings us to our fifth and final step, track for lasting success. Okay, the bridge is open, cars are flowing across it, but your job is not done. Now you have to become the traffic controller. You're monitoring the flow, you're looking for bottlenecks, and you're making sure this bridge is actually solving the problem you built it to solve.
So you have to measure what matters. Simple questions like, are people actually using this thing? Do they like it? Is it making their jobs faster or better? How often do they have to step in and fix its mistakes? These are the numbers, the KPIs, that tell you the real story of whether this whole thing is working.
And this is exactly what you want to see. You track these things over time, like the user satisfaction scores we see here. You're looking for that upward trend. When you see numbers going up like this, quarter after quarter, you know you're on the right track. And if they dip, that's not failure. That's just a signal telling you where to focus next.
Because that's the real goal here. This isn't about a big launch party and then you're done. It's about creating a continuous loop of adoption and improvement that brings real, lasting value to your company.
So I'll just leave you with this one final question to think about. When you look at your own organization's approach to AI, is it really a tech strategy? Or is it what it truly needs to be, a people strategy? Because the answer to that question changes everything.